Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Greetings, family! Welcome to another one of your Frank 26 UB2Bs. It's good to be with you. This is an infomercial, but it's an infomercial about a product that we just recently started to pioneer and recently start to talk about. So I decided to put a little UB2B infomercial together. It'll only be about 30 minutes. And I'm going to have our guest Walter and Ann Harrison that's going to be coming tonight to talk to you about, well, it's called a PEMF device. It is a therapeutical device that is used to develop in such a way as to enhance your cellular energy through stimulation of various electrical and chemical processes in the body, which boost, cell function and your health. The PEMF is a simple, effective, and fast way to strengthen the healing properties of every cell in our bodies. Now, you do know, and if you don't know, I'll tell you that I'm dealing with some health issues. Yeah. I got that C word that I don't necessarily care to repeat nor to claim. I use this device. Yeah, I've been using it for about, I would say about 6 months now. Yeah. I use this device because I know that my body, my cardiovascular structure, well, it's not as young as it used to be when I was 20 years old. The cardiovascular structure, the plumbing, the plumbing of my body, my veins, my arteries, my capillaries. And speaking of capillaries, that's at the very, very tip. That's the very end. The very end. You have the arteries, and they give the body oxygen and food, to be strong. All the things that you need. Then you have the veins, the venous blood, and that actually is a river in your body, a cardiovascular structure that is eliminating toxic waste, toxicity. Yeah. So you got those two main plumbing functions in the body: the veins that take out the bad stuff, and the arteries that bring in the good stuff. But then you also have the capillaries, which is the end of both the arteries and the veins, and it reaches all the way to your fingertips, to your nose, to your toes, your ears. You ever notice that these parts that I just mentioned kind of get cold on you a lot easier, a lot quicker than the core of your body? Well, that's because my plumbing, I'm 65, well, I'm going to be 65 years old in a few days. No, hint, hint, hint. No, I'm just kidding. In a few days, I will be, 65 years old. And my plumbing, my cardiovascular structure, well, it's not as young as it used to be. And the very end, the capillaries, sometimes they don't deliver, and they don't take away as well as they should. But this PEMF device that I've been using on my health, it extends the ability for the perfusion of my blood to deliver all the way to the capillary levels. It's at about a 30% increase. Now you may say, well, so what? Well, it's important to deliver all the nutrition to all parts of my body for good health. And it's important to remove the toxicity, the CO2, whatever that builds up that doesn't belong in my body. In my situation with my health issues, it is so important that I deliver nutrients and that I remove toxicity out of my body through my cardiovascular structure. And the PEMF device has been a blessing for me. I want it to be a blessing for you. So I'd like to introduce Walter, who's going to introduce Ann Harrison, and they're going to talk to you about this product. Please kick back, relax, and enjoy. And do listen. Take notes. It is possible that this is something that you need. Walter, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, Frank, the heart of gold and the heart of gold tink.
Okay, the $5 is in the mail. It's not pink, it's purple. It's purple. It's not pink, it's purple. Come on, man. But the floor is yours, Walter. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. Thank you, Tink. My name's Walter Lindstrom, and Ann is on the staff at Boomers Forever Young. That's a nutritional company with Bob. She's a nutritional consultant. And 9 years ago, she co-authored a book with a retired medical doctor called Rev Up Your Adult Stem Cell Power. You need it now. Ann, are you there?
I am, and thank you very much for the intro. And Frank gave such a great synopsis of this incredible PMF device that maybe a lot of us just call a pulse magnetic pad. And we're going to give a little bit more information about it. You know, Walter, you have that pad in your home, and Frank does.
Yeah, I was starting to get, what do you call that when your foot, the circulation in your foot doesn't, it starts getting hard or whatever you call it. What do you call it, atrophy or whatever?
Well, some people call it neuropathy, maybe.
Neuropathy, yeah. Anyways, I've been doing the pad, and now all of a sudden I have circulation in my foot. So I love it.
Yeah, well, that's what this pad was designed to do, to increase microcirculation. And, you know, Bob at Boomers Forever Young has one. Pretty much a lot of we staff members at Boomers have it, and a lot of our customers now have it in their home because, you know, it's very portable. And, you know, just by laying on it 8 minutes, twice a day, you know, we can get up to 30% more blood flow. And
there's one thing, I just didn't want them chopping off my feet or my hands, you know.
Well, that's, you know, Walter, there's over 185,000, by the way, lower limb amputations in this country every year. And the reason that, you know, those amputations occur is because drugs and surgery, they don't have the answer. And so if drugs and surgery were the answer, there wouldn't be all those amputations because, see, the older we are, the worse our blood flows. And so the great thing about just having this device is not only do we get better blood circulation into their microvessels, we also get far more stem cells out of our bone marrow. Just the carrier signal alone is going to push out more stem cells into our bone marrow. And with everyone this day and age clamoring or wishing they could get very expensive stem cell therapy, who wouldn't want to get this amazing stem cell enhancing and blood flow enhancing pad in their home for only about $50 a month on a credit card until, you know, they pay off the balance. So, you know, today we want to spend some time talking about why pretty much all of us thought it was important enough to break open our piggy banks to get this amazing pad in our homes for the whole family to use. Nicely, for what it can do for us, I would consider for very little money at all, for all of its incredible benefits.
So, and when was this pad developed anyway?
Well, actually over 20 years ago, and this pad was originally developed way back then because it was pretty much going to be designed to help the over age 55 people, because 20 years ago it was only age 55 and up people that had poor circulation. Certainly, unless you had diabetes, I mean, you know, that's a real hard situation to deal with. But unfortunately, the downside of us living in the exciting 21st century is now, because of cell phone, computer, and Wi-Fi signals, their adverse effects cause our blood to clump and stick together. So now actually younger people, even children, are now getting diseases because of poor blood flow. I mean, children as early as age 7 now are getting diabetes. They used to call type 2 diabetes, adult onset diabetes, but because children are now getting diseases that only 62-year-olds and up used to get, primarily because of them having poor blood flow due to all these cell phone and computer and Wi-Fi signals. Now they call it simply type 2 diabetes. But interesting, you know, when it was developed all those years ago, hardly anyone could see into those invisible, nearly invisible capillaries. They're invisible to the naked eye. But now, thanks to, you know, some technologies coming down in price, more and more scientists over the last 4 years are having access to these very high-powered microscopes that can see into the microvessels, and they're learning firsthand how important microcirculation is. And they're telling us now, as your blood flows, as your health goes. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, medical experts could probably tell you that this one-of-a-kind pad is the equivalent of having real health insurance. We'll learn more about.
And I was just wondering, why is it so important to have such microcirculation? And by the way, how do you buy your book? So, I mean, let people know out there how to buy your book that you wrote.
Well, yeah, thanks. That book is on Amazon.com, and it's called I have it under two titles. One is called Rev Up Your Adult Stem Cell Power, You Need It Now. And it's, you know, in Kindle or in softcover format, only for $9.95. Don't get taken by these mercenaries that are taking people's books and jacking up the price, you know, 5 times as much, trying to get $1 that way. And then it's also under another title called The Real Fountain of Youth, because that's what our blood flow really is. And why is that? Because blood is the river of life, and the real fountain of youth are amazing stem cells, which they didn't even know that about 20 years ago. But you asked me about the importance of microcirculation. Well, I want to let you know that last year, in May of 2019, in the Aging and Disease Journal, a scientific paper appeared, which was also published on the National Institute of Health, announcing, Walter, that the new theory of aging is now considered poor microcirculation. You know, in the past, you know, since the 1980s, we're always told the reason we age was simply due to free radical damage. But now with these scientists, more and more of them having access to this high-powered equipment that can see into the nearly invisible capillaries, they're saying the new theory of aging is poor microcirculation.
So, Ann, what's the difference between microcirculation and macrocirculation, MACRO circulation?
Yeah, Frank was touching upon that earlier. He probably could be doing a 30-minute expose about this, Patty. He seems to really know a lot. But the difference is this. You know, we as humans, of course, have this cardiovascular system, and scientists now know our cardiovascular system is made up of both macrovessels and microvessels. Our macrovessels, as Frank mentioned, are the ones that you can see, like our veins and arteries and larger blood vessels. But and our macrovessels, though, represent only about 25% of our cardiovascular system. So the remaining 75% of our cardiovascular system are the microvessels. They're so extremely teeny. If you plucked out, let's say, Walter, one of your hairs and divided it by 10 in diameter, that would be about the size of a microvessel. And up until about 4 years ago, only 3 places in the world could afford that technology to see down into those microvessels, because that equipment up until 4 years ago was actually $25 million. And those places that could see into the microvessels up until that time were Harvard, Stanford, and the Institute of Microcirculation in Berlin, Germany, where actually the reason this particular PEMF device, this pulse magnetic pad, has advanced to be so optimized to be able to increase microcirculation by an amazing 30%, is because the doctor that worked for 18 years to make the signal better and better and better had access to that $25 million piece of equipment, so he could see into the microvessels to see if what he made changes to the technology, if it was going to make our blood flow better, worse, or the same.
So, Ann, is our PEMF device the best in the whole world compared to anybody else's?
Well, it is, and this is why it's used in 4,000 medical hospitals and clinics. It's safe enough for home use, and that's why we can have it in our homes. But other, individuals using it include NASA, the space agency. They learned about the technology, and they called the company up to see if they could get it for the astronauts. And very famous athletes all around the world. Famous quarterbacks, I can't name any names, and then very famous older golfers and very famous tennis players. You wonder, how can they keep winning games over age 40? Tennis players. Well, they're the ones that have this technology because with all that extra increased blood flow, their recovery time is so much better. And also their speed is so much faster. So yeah, this is the best one. This is the top of the line. This is like the granddaddy of them all. And if we're going to be spending money on our health, we want to get the equivalent of a first-class vehicle instead of a little, Ford Pinto.
Right. What do you think what's linked to the poor blood flow? What problems occur, you think?
Well, they know now that poor blood flow is the cause of heart attacks, strokes, amputations. That's why people have amputations. People get memory problems, sexual problems, kidney problems, eye problems, and the list goes on and on.
Diabetes.
But, just for an example, let's focus on one of those health problems and expand upon the topic a little bit. And that problem is, let's just say, the potential of having a heart attack. Walter, did you know that 50% of the people who have a heart attack will die right on the spot?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so heart disease is still the number one killer in the world, well, cardiovascular disease, with many people having heart attacks. And so if I told you, Walter, that if you were going to get in your car and drive down the street today, there would be a 50% chance you would die in a car crash, I doubt if you'd go for a drive today. So I would think it would be worth your while to look into a medical device that could drastically reduce the risk of dying from a heart attack, because I don't know if you're aware, but there's a Dr. Thomas Cowan, C-O-W-A-N, medical doctor. A couple years ago, he wrote a book called The Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, where he reported that only 18% of the people who have heart attacks have any blockages in their 1, 2, or 3 main arteries of their heart. Now, those heart arteries are the size of a straw, okay? So just think how many blockages we must have in the microvessels. Like we said, that if you pluck out one of your hairs and divide it by 10, that would be the diameter of a microvessel. So he said that other 82% of the people that have heart attacks, the primary root cause is poor microcirculation. So who wouldn't want this amazing pad that can increase microcirculation by up to 30%?
I was just wondering, understanding the microvessels compared to the macrovessels. Okay, go ahead.
I never even thought about blood flow until I got this medical device. But I'll tell you what, about 4 years ago, I read a book and trying to learn more about blood and blood flow. I did some internet research and I stumbled upon a book written by a retired doctor many years ago who was the original author of a publication called The Daily Bread. That's a monthly publication that, has very nice...
is that the one that has the Bible verses every day?
Yep. And so before he retired to become a pastor, he was a medical surgeon. And so who would know more about blood flow than medical surgeons? And so I got that book about the blood, and he taught me something that I had never even given any thought to before, and in his book. And he taught me that the only, well, just about, I should say, every single cell in your body is really basically stuck. Okay, let's just say your kidney cells are stuck. You know, they're not like red blood cells that can go anywhere in your body through the microvessel system, right? They're not like stem cells that can go everywhere, all right? But pretty much all your cells are completely stuck. Your kidneys are stuck where they are, your kidney cells, your liver cells, your heart cells. And if they're starving from nutrient and oxygen deprivation, they can't go anywhere to get those things.
Oh, that's why you need microcirculation.
Yeah. And so, you know, as an analogy, picture this. Our macrovessels are more like the highways, and our microvessels are more like the streets. And let's say, I can remember back when I was a kid, to just further, you know, expound on this analogy. Anyone over 55 years old might remember this. When I was young, we children were at home with our moms, and our moms were stuck at home, just like, you know, let's say cells are stuck where they are. And she didn't have a car. And so how did we get our food? Well, she was stuck at home. My dad took the car to work. So everything had to be delivered in order for our family to be able to eat. She had a juice man, a bread man, a bakery man, a vegetable man, a milk man. Everything had to be delivered by truck to the doorstep. And so, first of all, those things had to first be delivered down the highway, you know, to be unloaded to those delivery trucks. Okay,
oh, is so that macro?
Yep, that's the macro. Those are arteries. Okay, and so then after, you know, all those things were delivered, guess what? Then we had garbage piling up, right? Okay, and so that's what these red blood cells do. They dump off the oxygen, and then they're like dump trucks. These red blood cells go floating around, you know, through the microvessels. They dump off their oxygen. They're like dump trucks. And once they dump off the payload, then what is their job? Their job is to take the toxins away. All right? And so...
Boy, Frank really knew what he was talking about, huh?
I know. That's what I said. He could talk a half an hour.
I mean, I don't know how he knew all this stuff, but he does.
Yep. Smart guy. Anyway, so guess what? Once they pick up the toxins, well, where do they take them? Let's say if they go to your underarms, you're going to perspire those toxins out, right? If they go to your lungs, you're going to breathe those toxins out. All your red blood cells, they're transporting these toxins out of your body. If those red blood cells go to your kidneys, you're going to pee them out. If they go to your colon, you're going to doo-doo them out. All right? So you get the picture. All of your cells are stuck, and they're highly, highly dependent on your blood, you know, to deliver the nutrients and oxygen and take the toxins away. And it has to all happen nicely like that without having blockages in these microvessels, because if you have blockages, then those nutrients and oxygen can't get where they need to go. The toxins can't get out of your body. Okay. So,
and then, and the other thing with that also is that everybody's into the new thing with the stem cells.
Yeah.
How does this, you know, relate to the stem cells?
Right. So as the blood serum, you know, the red blood cells are being carried in your blood serum, and so are your stem cells being covered in your serum through these microvessels. And so, yeah, let's talk about, that's my passion, you know, stem cells, having written a book about stem cells. That's why I love this device, because simply by laying on this pad, the carrier signal alone is going to increase your stem cell proliferation between 20 to 60%.
Wow.
More stem cells, yep, will be coming out of your bone marrow. But guess what? You can have all the stem cells in the world coming out of your bone marrow, but if they can't get where they need to go because you have poor blood flow, they're going to do you very little good. I want to give you an example about this now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so some people are taking capsules, you know, to get extra stem cells out of their bone marrow, nutritional capsules.
Mhm.
And so that's how I pretty much happened to write my book all those years ago, because once I started taking some nutritional capsules to get more stem cells out of my bone marrow, within 10 weeks, I'm 68 years old now, right? So I was about 60 then.
I thought you were 30.
No, maybe, and I'm 68, but maybe let's say at age 59, I guess I was at that time. Within 10 weeks, my 40% then gray hair reverted back to its original color.
Wow.
Just by having more stem cells come out of my bone marrow.
Wow.
Okay. And that's what inspired me to do a year's research to learn all about adult stem cells, and how that I learned their role is to renew, repair, and regenerate. And wherever they go, that's what they'll become. If they go into your heart, they'll become a heart cell. If they go into your kidney, they'll become a kidney cell. Their role is to renew, repair, and regenerate. Okay, but listen to this. My friend Mario was 85 at the time. Now, when I wrote my book about adult stem cells, and I called people, medical doctors, even in Costa Rica, about who are doing stem cell therapy, one medical doctor told me, hey, just like we can take a white blood cell count, that's how they determine if you have an infection, right? They might take a white blood cell count. They said, we can take an adult stem cell count. And he says, but the older we are, the fewer stem cells in circulation. And he says, we don't even bother to take an 85-year-old stem cell count. He says, that's a waste of money because they barely have any in circulation.
That's true.
So when I told Mario about these nutritional capsules, and that within 10 weeks, my 40% gray hair reverted back to its original color, of course, he wanted to try them. And when he tried them, after 30 days, he said, Ann, I feel nothing. And I said, Mario, you're 85. The company knows that only 60% of anybody that takes these capsules will notice any benefits. And that's why the company went back to the drawing board to develop another kind of capsules to get your blood flowing better. So when he started taking both kinds of capsules, one to get more stem cells out in the bone marrow, one to get his blood flowing better, 60 days went by. So a total of 90 days taking, them together. First 30 days, just the stem cell enhancing capsules. Second 60 days, then taking both. He calls me up on the phone. I knew he had been in a wheelchair for 10 years. And after the 90 days of taking both of those kind of capsules, he was out of his wheelchair walking around with a cane. He had had a botched surgery on his foot before. That's why he was in a wheelchair. Okay, so what does that tell me? That tells me, number one, those stem cells were able to go where they needed to go to fix his botched foot. That's the furthest extremity from the human, from your heart. Okay? And so, but all we have to do is lay on a pad for a couple minutes a day, and we get 20 to 60% more stem cells in circulation. And not only that, once they come out of our bone marrow, they're going to go where they need to go with all that extra good blood flow that we have.
And circulation, right?
Yep.
And that's what, $50 a month you can put on a credit card or something?
Yep, that's what we do. And, some people just flip over their credit card and, they ask their credit card company, can I get this on a 0% basis? Because look at all those credit cards that you can get with 0% interest. And so they say, look, and I get all these other offerings in the mail. Can I have this medical device on my credit card? And, I'm good for the money. And they say yes, or they go and apply for another 0% credit card if they want to. And that's how we get it in our homes for only $50 a month. And what's so cool about that is that I know people that are spending either $80 a month for a bottle of stem cell enhancing capsules, and only they benefit, because there's only enough for one person in that bottle, right? Or I know people that are spending maybe $100 per month on a stem cell enhancement patch, okay? And they're only benefiting. But the great thing about this medical device, we can share it. I can use it. My husband uses it.
You mean Kona can share?
Don't we like?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Don't we like to share?
Yes, I was doing that in a positive way.
Not cookies. We don't share cookies.
Well, I know, but some people, they get a little bit selfish and they want their own, but we can basically share. Okay. In hospitals, there's one Hungarian hospital, a hospital in Hungary where 4 of these devices are there, and 250 people a day go to use the 4 units.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. You know, in Hungary, sometimes whole apartment buildings will just buy one to share because they barely make any money. You know, they might make maybe $400 a month, maybe a person, you know. So, but that's how we get them in our home. And how cool is that, Walter?
I think that's super fantastic. And Kona and Frank and you and me and everybody needs one. How do we get a hold of you, Ann?
Well, you know, you can always find me at Boomers Forever Young, and you know that phone number is 727-443-2500.
Oh, we're going to say it 2 times, though, because that's how they have time to write it down. It's 727-443-2500. And Frank, how's the time? Do we just do it just on time, hopefully?
Yes, you did. You guys did excellent in your description. And the reason I knew so much about it is because, like I said at the beginning, I've been using this device for about 5-6 months now, about 6 months. In fact, you mentioned that this device is used by, you know, some famous quarterbacks, some famous athletes, some famous golfers. Well, believe it or not, when I found out that I had, you know, the big C, I had a phone call from a professional golfer, and his family. They're dear friends of ours. They're our brothers and sisters in Christ, and they said, "Listen, Frank, we have this device, and it's going to help you in the perfusion of your blood. Perfusion means the flow." The perfusion of a river, the perfusion of a water stream, the perfusion of your blood, it will increase. I said, it will. What you gonna do? Put an engine on my heart? They said no, but it is an electrical magnetic field that surrounds your body, and it helps the very, very last part of your cardiovascular system, the capillaries, to deliver, actually to almost dilate, to open up, to unplug themselves so that they have the ability to deliver nutrients all the way to the very, very tips of your body, to parts of your body that are not that accessible anymore because of our age. And every day I turn this machine on, and every day I thank the good Lord for those that are helping me, like my professional golfer friend who put this in a box and he sent it to me.
That was great, Frank.
That it was. I've been using it for quite a while. You gave a good example about people, like, for example, that have suffered from heart attacks or from CHF, you know, the chronic heart failure itself. People that smoke an awful lot and now have to deal with emphysema, that have to deal with asthma, you know, the respiratory issues. Well, when you stop and think about it, our lungs are like, they're filled with, like, oh, you know, like a bundle of grapes. Imagine a cluster of grapes. That's about the closest example I can give for our lungs. They're called alveolus. They're very, very small little structures that goes from the pulmonary artery, the big one, into the heart, that in turn goes into the lungs. From the pulmonary artery into the pulmonary parts of the lungs, and it delivers oxygen to blood, and it also picks up any of the toxicity, CO2, and like you said, we expel it. We get rid of it through our respiration. Well, these alveolus, they are filled with capillaries. They are filled. I remember when I used to be an athlete, and I had to get in shape every year. When it was a time for my sport, we had practice. It was called double sessions, and boy, for like about 2 months or more, almost 3 months, June, July, and part of August, We worked hard. We ran.
Were you a running back, Frank?
Yes, I was a running back, and that's why it was so important that my lungs worked. I had to take some serious deep breaths. Where if I knew that I had an opportunity to break the field and run for a touchdown, well, then my legs worked even faster. I kicked into second gear. But that means that then I had to breathe deeper. I had to breathe much deeper. I had to go
Wow.
past the capillaries. I had to go past, or excuse me, go past the arteries, go past the veins, go straight to the depthness of the pulmonary alveolar structure of my lungs. But if a person has been smoking, if a person lives in California, in Chicago, New York, Detroit, where there's heavy, heavy pollution, your lungs have suffered a lot. If you have emphysema, if you have any kind of pulmonary obstruction, this is a device that will help you to open up the plumbing that is being been plugged up. And it's been plugged up mainly because of the pollution, the toxicity, and the mannerisms of our lives, how we treat ourselves. You use the example of a heart. A person that's having a heart attack, I'm telling you, is going to take some deep breaths, if he can, just to try to survive. I would like to give an example of diabetes. I believe that diabetes it destroys the capillaries. People with diabetes have very, very cold fingertips and cold toes, and cold noses. And that's because the nutrients just can't get all the way from the arteries and the veins all the way to the capillaries, let alone to the capillaries in the lung itself. This device, I know what it's been doing for me. Oh, sincerely, I truly do know. You see, I'm taking a regimen of supplements and I'm eating organic now. I'm eating natural, all natural. And I drink nothing but distilled and partially alkaline, partially, crystallized water. So it seems to me that all this stuff that I'm putting inside my body, it needs to be delivered all over my body, not just 70% of it.
Exactly.
So the other
Exactly.
30%, this machine helps me to boost it, to send it. I turn it on in the mornings, I turn it on in the evenings. I'm happy. I use a regimen of many devices, and this is one of them. I thank you both. They've been
And
asking.
Frank, can I say one prayer for you?
Before you do, we'll close it with a prayer, and you do that.
Okay.
But also, then let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, you've been asking for a website. No, write this phone number down. Pick up your pencil. Go ahead, pick it up right now. I'm waiting. Okay, you got it. All right, now go now get a paper. Okay, get the paper and write down Ann Harrison. Ann Harrison, Harrison, and her phone number is 727-443-2500. 727-443-2500. This lady is a pro. She's an expert about this machine. You want to call her and you want to ask her all the questions that you have, okay? And then you can find out more about how to order it, how to get it, if it's something that you want to be involved in. I highly suggest it. And that's why I took the time out tonight to do a UB2B about this product. Is a therapeutical PEMF device that will help you to send all the proper nutrition through all parts of your body, and also to remove the toxicity as well. And do you have any? Oh, and by the way, when you call Ann, tell her you're from KTFA. That way they can fix you up, give you any discounts, anything that is part of our KTFA structure. And do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to say that pretty much anyone that gets one of these devices, when we wake up in the morning, we all thank God that we're able to get this device in our home.
That's true. That is true. We should be grateful for the amazing modern miracles of medicine that are available now. This is
Hmm.
something that is actually being introduced more and more to the medical industry. They need to know about it. I thank you, Ann, and I thank you for taking care of our KTFA family, all right?
Well, thank you. My pleasure. And you, everyone, have a great night.
Thank you, Ann. And Walter, I thank you as well, too, sir, for bringing the product, bringing Ann. And now I ask you, go ahead and close us out in a prayer, my dear friend.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Frank has a heart of gold, and so does Tink. And I pray that you're blessed and highly favored right now, because you just helped a lot of people, Kona, and we don't know, the help that you've done for all these people, that could have happened that they can prevent from happening now, because you're around to help people. And I appreciate it, and I praise God that you're healed.
Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you, Ann. Thank you, Walter. God bless the both
Thank
of
you,
you.
Frank.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tink.
Everyone.
Yes, indeed. They say bye-bye to you, Tink.
Bye.
And I
All right,
say
thank
bye.
you.
And I say bye-bye to you, family. God bless you. Thank you for kindly for being with us on our Therapeutical PEMF device promo. I'll see you again on our next UB2B. Bye-bye.